Why is Superman's costume so tight? Because it's a size S. Welcome to Comic Book Editions Volume 226. Today I have my Christmas 2024 comic book and superhero haul to share with you. Plus, I've attended a comic show already in 2025, and my pickups from that event will be in today's video as well. Welcome. We're going to get started with a Christmas gift that came from my friend Andre, all the way in Brazil. You might remember that Andre visited with me, actually here in the States. He was in my Comic Book Editions Volume 218 and 219 video. If you haven't seen those, check them out, especially the video for Comic Book Editions Volume 219, because that is such a memorable moment, not only for my channel, but just a memorable moment in my life. I'm a little lax in getting some of my Funko Pops. And I was trying to keep up with the Wonder Woman ones, but there just became so many. So I really need to spend some time taking stock of which ones I have and which ones I don't. This one comes from Gal Gadot's appearance as Wonder Woman in the Flash movie. Now, Gal also supposedly filmed a cameo that was supposed to be in Aquaman 2. That ended up on the cutting room floor. I was pretty disappointed that that footage has not been released somewhere as a special feature on a Blu-ray or on YouTube or something. I went to the movies hoping that she would be in there like it was rumored to be, and she wasn't. Can't win them all, I guess. But this is a pretty awesome Funko Pop, and I thank you, Andre, for thinking of me. I hope Andre enjoyed what I sent his way for Christmas as well. I'm so fortunate to have so many amazing friends, and I spent the holidays with my friend Steven and his family, who I love spending time with, and they bestowed some awesome superhero gifts on me for Christmas presents, including this hoodie that I'm wearing right now. I'm styling. Not only am I keeping warm, but I'm styling. And when you live in the Midwest, like I do, it gets cold during the winter, and you need to stay warm. And I love this hoodie. This is really awesome. I can show my Wonder Woman support as well, and you'll definitely be seeing me wearing this much more on my YouTube channel. I appreciate them thinking of me and for inviting me over and letting me share the holidays with their family. But they weren't done with just the hoodie. They bestowed some more superhero gifts on me. How about a cute little plushie? Isn't this awesome? This is a Wonder Woman plushie that's styled after Wonder Woman from War of the Gods, the George Perez, and Challenge of the Gods storylines as well that George Perez did during his tenure on Wonder Woman. I love this because during my brief time managing the comic book store, we had these Wonder Woman plushies in stock. So when I see this, it just takes me back to those happy memories. It's so weird that even the comic books that came out at that time, all of those hold just such a special place in my heart. And when I see one out and about or just browsing online or something, or someone posts them on Instagram, just the wonderful memories that that brings back. And this, I should mention as well, since we're talking about the George Perez version of Wonder Woman, reminds me of a show that I did recently with John's Comics with Kids and JP Budget Collecting, where we kind of reviewed and went over the first Wonder Woman by Perez omnibus. If you missed that, it's archived, and I have a folder in my YouTube channel here where you can check out that video. And we're going to do some future ones too, times to be announced. So I hope you'll get a chance to check out the one we've already done and join us for future ones that we will do. It was their first time reading the Perez Wonder Woman. And of course, I admit it, I had read it a few times, and I was excited for them to get the chance to read it. But I just love this plushie. And like I said, it brings back memories of the comic store, it brings back memories of the great George Perez run of Wonder Woman. And it's so cute, and it's just awesome, and definitely was picked out with me in mind. I could tell that as well as all of these gifts were that I'm sharing with you today too. My friends also got me some reading material to enjoy, and I'm happy to have this book. Wonder Woman Tempest Tossed was originally released in 2020. Now this is more geared for like a teenage reader, but that didn't stop me from enjoying it and enjoying their version of Wonder Woman. This is by Lori Hale Anderson. Essentially, the story takes place during Wonder Woman's 16th birthday. there is a slight breach between Themyscira and its hidden location and the outside world, and some folks become trapped in the shores outside of the region of Themyscira, which is invisible to them. Diana becomes aware of it. Of course, she goes to help them. She gets, or becomes rather, I should say, unable to return to Themyscira. So she ventures back to man's world, and this is the story of what happens. A very entertaining read. I had only read a couple page preview. This was my first time reading it all the way through, and I did enjoy it. I like their version of some of the Wonder Woman mythos. For example, instead of Steve Trevor, there's no Steve Trevor in the book, but there's two characters, Steve and Trevor. Steve and Trevor are two characters in the book, and they always call them Steve and Trevor, and I just thought that that was kind of cool too. This was a nice read. It was very enjoyable. The artwork was well done, and I was happy to get this into the collection. I shouldn't have waited so long to get this in because I really did end up enjoying this. I want to take a quick moment to say that if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I hope that this video will convince you to do so. Sharing my channel or this video with someone else that you think might be interested is another great way to show support to my channel. Thank you to my returning viewers, my returning friends, I should say. I always appreciate your support as well. YouTube's algorithm, which I totally don't understand. Some days it loves me and some days it could definitely do without me. But it seems apparently that the algorithm loves it when you give the video a thumbs up, a heart, and a like. So if you want to take care of that, that's pretty awesome too. And I always love reading your comments, which I'll be asking for when we reach the end of today's video. I want to switch over now to a comic show that I attended about half an hour away last month. It was my first comic show, my first comic hunting really of 2025. I went to a mall. It was a QuadCon event that was held at a mall in Brookfield, Wisconsin, and they had over 70 vendors. And man, they were all over the mall, out in like the main aisles as you would walk through the mall. And I saw some great comic books and fun stuff. And I want to share with you what I picked up today. What was a little bit different for me at this event, instead of buying a bunch of books, I used about the same budget that I would have on a bunch of books and just bought a couple books. One of the books is an A-OK, so I won't be showing that in today's video. But the first one that I bought for myself, okay, it's not a comic book, but you'll understand here in a second why I'm including it in today's video, because it had something to do with comic books and comic book history. Do you know what this is? This is the very first issue of Ms. Magazine. Yes, the Ms. Magazine that Gloria Steinem was a co-founder of. This was released July 1st of 1972. This book, or this magazine, which apparently from what I read was an instant hit from the beginning and was a sellout, is something that you can find on eBay, but it comes with a nice high price. I've always wanted to have this in my collection, but I could never find it at the right price and the right condition until I went to this QuadCon event, and I found it. When I saw the price, or their asking price for this, it was less than half of what I'm used to seeing it go for on eBay. I couldn't resist. And the condition was very nice for a book that, you know, is as old as it is. So I picked it up. So what's its tie into comic books besides the fact that Wonder Woman's on the cover? They have an essay inside because at this time, Wonder Woman comic books were the mod era Diana prints, the non-power Diana prints. And they wrote this essay essentially saying, why would you do this to a character that is so iconic? Why would you depower her or make her less than? And it was the attention from that article that got DC to give up the mod era Diana prints and revert her back to her costume powers. It was all because of Gloria Steinem's article and putting Wonder Woman, the costume version, on this cover. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's a piece of comic book history in itself. Wonder Woman has appeared on Ms. Magazine a grand total of 4 times. This very first issue. Then in issue 97, There was a cover with a mod. When I say a modern, I should say, not the mod era, like not the non-power Diana prints, but the modern Wonder Woman reading a copy of this issue. Then in 2007, there was a cover that was kind of a mosaic close-up of this. And then in 2012, they had an artist kind of redraw this cover with a slightly more updated version of Wonder Woman on the cover. So 4 times she's appeared on those covers. I know I have at least 3 of those 4 now that I had the first issue, but I might have all 4. I'll have to do some digging and checking on that if I have it in my collection. I just know that this is one that I've been looking for such a long time. And my heart literally skipped when I saw it at the show because I haven't seen it in the wild that much, let alone at a great price like this. Something else that I'd like to get now that I've accomplished this, something else that is from that same era, so a few years later, is the TV guide with Wonder Woman on the cover, which of course was promoting the Linda Carter TV show. It's a drawn image of Wonder Woman, not just a picture of Linda in the Wonder Woman outfit, but the Wonder Woman TV guide is something that I'd like to get in my collection now that I have the Ms. magazine officially in my collection. And I do have a poster of this cover as well in my collection. I've had that for a little while now. Oh, I was so excited to get this. I saw it and I was like, okay, I want to take, because they had it on the wall, and I'm like, I want to take a closer look at that, but I was pretty sure I was going to buy it. And I did. From the same seller, I found this, which was really cool. World's Finest, Volume 1, issue number 198. Kurt Swan doing the cover for this. If you remember back to my Comic Book Editions Volume 216 video, I picked up World's Finest issue 199, which is part 2 of this story. So Denny O'Neil wrote the story, Dick Dillon did the artwork, and in addition to this, which is the 3rd Superman Flash race, there is a Johnny Quick story, which is a reprint from Adventure Comics number 181. So in that Comic Book Editions 216 video, when I bought the World's Finest 199, I thought I had bought the wrong comic book, if you might remember that video, because I was looking for a one-panel cameo of the mod era Diana prints with I Ching. And I thought I bought the wrong comic book, but I did have the right one. It's a 2-part story. So now that I had the first part, I actually hadn't read the World's Finest 199 yet. And I'm glad I had, so I can sit down and read both of these together and enjoy them together. This was, as I think I mentioned, the 3rd Superman Flash race. So Superman 199, they race for the first time. I don't have that in my collection, but I'd like to someday. Flash 175 is their second race, which I have in my collection. Then we have this 2-part race, World's Finest 198 and 199. Then their 4th race was a 2-parter as well. DC Comics presents issue number 1 and issue number 2 from the Bronze Age. Way back in Comic Book Editions Volume 134, I finally added my DC Comics presents issue number 2 into my collection. I've had 1 for forever, but I finally added number 2 into the collection. So I like to get more of these Superman Flash races, and definitely want to get the very first one from Superman 199. That's a goal for sure, someday to add into the collection. And then I had seen this book early on when I got to the comic show, but I didn't pick it up until right at the very end. And I kept thinking about this the entire time. My collection feels like it was missing without having this in it. It's a Superman versus Spider-Man. This is the very first team up between Marvel Comics and DC Comics, although technically they did a Wizard of Oz treasury-sized book prior to this. But this is the first time that they did an original story with their superstar hero, each company's superstar hero, coming together. Ross Andru doing this iconic cover. One thing that I love on the inside back cover, they show you all the different proposed layouts they had for what the covers could have looked like. And this one really works the best out of everything that they proposed. Both characters get a nice representation in there. An iconic cover, an iconic book. I have never had this book. I had the second team up. Never had this book. When I was a childhood collector, it just wasn't available. I just never saw it anywhere. I guess people, when they got this, it came out originally in 1976, and I would have been too young for its initial release. but I never saw it as a back issue. And not that I had the opportunity to go to many places to do comic book hunting when I was a young childhood collector. Not that there were that many places to choose from even. It was the first time I've ever had this book. It's the first time I ever read it. And I say this all the time. When stuff is in this huge treasury size, it just feels like an event. This thing was fun. From the first page to the last page, it was fun. Did you know there's a lot of uncredited Neil Adams artwork on the Superman inside of this book? It's true. I guess Neil redrew some of the Superman uncredited in this book, which is interesting. The back cover is just as iconic, if you ask me. And when I was a little kid, the closest comic book store to me was in another state, and it was an hour away. So it was something that I didn't get a chance to go to very often, although it was the closest big city to where I grew up. I grew up in a very tiny, small town. No stoplights, no fast food. Even to this day, there's neither one of those. But jumping back to this comic book store, which was in Dubuque, Iowa, Comic World and Things, 1626 Central Avenue was the address back then. Comic World still exists in Dubuque. It's not at that location. It's not owned by the same person anymore. But the original Comic World had this image on their sign that hung outside of the building. And being a naive, we'll just say naive instead of dumb. Being a naive childhood collector, I never imagined where that image came from or anything. Never really thought anything about it. I thought it was cool that, DC and Marvel were both represented on that sign. And I wonder if they officially licensed that out or if the store just kind of used the image and got the sign made. Whatever. I mean, it got the point across of what you were getting when you went to that store. So many great memories, even though I've never had this book before. And I almost bought the DC versus Marvel omnibus just to get this story. I got this book at a great price because I had been eyeing this for a little while and started getting a little bit more serious within the last couple of months looking at this book online. And this is the best price that I had seen for this book, especially in the condition that it's in. So I felt like I just came out like a winner by picking this up at this comic show. So that wraps up my pickups from the comic show. It also wraps up some of my superhero comic book related Christmas gifts from Christmas 2024. But you know what? Since I was talking treasuries, and I know that I was just talking about this / showing this on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review this past weekend because we retro reviewed this. This just came out last week. It's the Untold Legend of Batman issues 1 through 3 as a DC Complete Classic, but done in treasury size. The first time these had ever been done in treasury size. I just felt like showing this too. I ended up getting the foil version of it. The foil was the foil was $5 more than the regular, but I don't know. Something about that foil. I just love it. And we retro reviewed this past Sunday with Silver Hair Bronze Age Babe and Signature King Tony Fett on Fanboys Live and the Retro Review, the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. So if you missed that and want to learn exactly what this book is about, it's a 1983 issue miniseries, reprinted. You can check out the rewind for that. We had a great time. I always have a great time hanging out with my friends on that show and everyone in the live chat as well. By the way, our next Fanboys Live and the Retro Review will be coming up this weekend, Sunday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. Central here on my YouTube channel. Something else to tell you about too. I did a Nubia-themed back issue of the week. That's on my YouTube channel. That short came out yesterday morning. Make sure to check that out if you haven't had a chance to yet. I appreciate it. So there you go for Comic Book Editions Volume 226. What was your favorite thing that I showed today? Do you have anything that I showed in your collection? Are you looking for anything that I showed today to put into your collection? Let's dialogue about all of that and more in the comments section below. Your comments are welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. Thank you, my friends, for making it to the end of today's video. Be happy, healthy, and safe, and I look forward to visiting again with you soon. Until then, take care. There's been a little pitch. Oh my God, why did I say that? This video was going so good.